so we're going to go ahead and talk about matrices today. And so first of all, a matrix is nothing more than a rectangular array of numbers or variables. Notice it's named with an uppercase letter. And so what you see there is an example of a matrix. Notice how it looks. It has brackets. Okay, it's just got the numbers arranged in there. Now it doesn't strictly have to be numbers. It could be variables. It could be anything. It's basically just a rectangular array of terms. Okay, in each term, we call that an element. So 1 would be an element, 2 would be an element, 3 would be an element, 4, 5, and 6. And then now we're going to get into something known for Microsoft Excel. Okay, this is going to be something that you guys have learned, rows. The rows are the elements that are horizontally. Okay, so as you're looking at this matrix, how many rows are there? 2. Good. As you're looking at this matrix, how many columns? And the columns are the elements vertically. How many columns are there? 3. Good. And so then now what we do is we give the dimensions of the matrix. And how we give the dimensions is we always go rows by columns. And so in this case, the dimensions of this matrix will be a what?
5.
2 by 3. Good. 2 by 3. And what that means is 2 rows and 3 columns. So you could have anything for a matrix. You could have a 3 by 3, a 3 by 4. But this is real similar to what you learned about in Microsoft Excel. And in fact, we'll probably do some stuff on the computers as well with this. So let's go ahead and look at a problem. It says, there's an example. It says, organize the gas mileage in a matrix. And so if you notice here, we have a chart. And so if I was going to organize this in a matrix, what would be the dimensions of the matrix that I would use? Can somebody take a guess? What would be the dimensions? 2 by 5. Good, because I have 2 rows, city and highway, and I have 5 columns, SUV, minivan, sedan, compact, and APV. So first of all, I'm going to start with a bracket. And I'm going to write my first row, and my first row here is going to be 23, 21, 21, 42, 61. My second row is going to be what, folks?
25, 24, 32,
Yeah.
49, and
70. And that's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to write it as. Okay? Fairly straightforward. You don't have to label or anything. So you don't have to worry about the city highway or the column headers as well.
What about the
What about the what?
A? The uppercase A or something?
Oh, you don't need, it didn't say organize it in a matrix A. It just said organize it in a matrix. So it didn't specify, so you don't have to name it. You could, if you wanted. It says now add the elements of each row and interpret the result. So row 1 is going to be right here. So what this says is that I need to add those together. So go ahead and do that for me. Add those numbers together, 23, 21, 21, 42, and 61. What'd you get? 168. 168. Now, oops, pick the pen. Now what I need to do, so that's the row 1. Now I need to add the elements of the next row. So add these, and then tell me what that equals. 200. So now what I need to do is I need to interpret what that means. So this is what I do. I go back and I look. Row 1 referred to city, and this is miles per gallon. Okay, so we can interpret that to mean what? That in the city, the total for the vehicles is 168. In the highway, the total for the vehicles is 200. So let's look. It says add the elements of each column and interpret the result. So we're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to start with column 1. What does column 1 add to B, folks?
48.
48. Good. What does column 2 total? 45. What does column 53? Okay. 91. 131. So once again, what does this mean? This means the combination of the SUV would be 48. Combination of the minivan in both city and highway would be 45. Combination of the sedan in city and highway would be 53. Okay, so do you see where that comes from? All right, so there you go. That's going to be the first part of your lesson. Now what we're going to do, okay, we've got these, and honestly, you can write these down if you want. I think we're going to move fairly quickly through these. In fact, we'll have the answer written down before you probably have all 3 matrices written down. Okay, I want you to look at this. It says find A plus B. Now as you look at that, I want you to tell me what would be the logical thing to do.
Adam.
Yeah, add what specifically?
16 and -4.
16, -4, exactly right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add corresponding parts. So as Parker has said, I'm going to go ahead and add these 2. And what do you get? 12. What's the next logical thing? You're going to add the 2 and -1. What do you get? 1. What's the next logical thing? -9 and, which is? -12. And then last but not least, what are you going to add? 8 and -7 and get 1. That's it. That's all you do. Okay? All you do is add the corresponding parts, and that's your final answer. Okay? So let's look at another one. Same problem. Okay, same matrices, and this one says B minus A. So what do you think you're going to do here? Now notice what says B minus A. Yep, so I'm going to start over here with the B. So I'm going to take -4 minus 16. I'm going to take -1 minus 2. What's the next one going to be down here? -3 minus -9. What's the one down here going to be? -7 minus 8. Now what I would suggest you do here, okay, instead of doing the subtraction, you can do that. Another option to be would be to just multiply the A's by negatives and then add them. So if I would take this times a -1, -1, -1, -1, and then all I would be left to do is adding the 2, because it's the same as like adding a -A. Anyway, real quick, let's go through this. What's -4 and -16? -20, -1, -2.
-3.
What do you get down here?
6.
6. -15. Now notice if I would have multiplied by the -1 at the get-go, I would have gotten the same thing, -20 from those 2, -3, 6, and -15. So it doesn't matter. You can do either. All right, next one, B plus C. So what do you do here? What do you do here, B plus C?
Add both the numbers by -4 plus 8. So just kidding.
The top B and the bottom B together.
Not add the numbers that.
-4, -1.
It's kind of like,
-4 minus 1 and take that number plus 8.
but that really isn't what we did with the first view, right? We added corresponding parts. So really what we would do is we would add these 2, and then I'm like, well, what do I add that one to? There's nothing there. So
Zero.
really, I can't do that. I can't add those 2 together because they are not the same what? They don't have the same,
Matrix.
they don't have the same, what was one of the terms we learned?
Dimensions.
They don't have the same dimensions. That's right. So you can only add or subtract if they have the same dimensions. So if they don't, this is what you write. Not defined. Now your book talks about writing not possible. Okay, that's all fine and good. What I'm trying to do is show you what's going to happen when you get older and take a little more advanced class. We always write not defined. We don't write undefined, we write not defined. Okay? So make sure you understand. Okay, if you can't do that, you write not defined. Okay, so real quick, I want you to do this one for me. In fact, you probably won't even need to write this down. You probably could just jot the answer from looking at it. So, somebody got an answer? Somebody want to write down their answer here? There you go. All right, so write down your answer and see what you get. See if your answer matches. You gotta hold it down. Just write on it normal. There you go.
My goodness, Sadie. You're like 5 years old. That's what it looks like.
Good. Yeah, there you go. Oh. There you go. So there's your answer. -7, 16, -1, and -12. So there you go. We used the slate a little bit right there. So any questions on adding? Do you think we need to look at this, or do you think you get it?
You just do the same.
You know what? I'm going to show you how I do this problem because I'm going to do it a little different. Okay, instead of subtracting, you know me, I don't like to subtract. I like to add the opposite. So I'm going to change this to addition, and then I'm going to change each of the signs. By doing that, I've made it an addition problem, which is way easier. Because now in looking at it, your answer, do your first elements, and what do you get? -5. What do you get?
5.
What do you get?
10, 11.
11. What do you get?
9.
-3.
Oh.
What do you get here?
7.
7. What do you get here?
9.
9. What do you get from the last one? -25. So by changing the signs, you've made it a lot easier. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about scalar multiplication. And this is something we already did without you even knowing it. A scalar is nothing more than a constant. It's a fancy word for just a number. And so what we're going to do is scalar multiplication, which is nothing more than multiplication by a constant. But remember, a constant, I just said, was a number. So they sound really fancy. Oh, you're going to do scalar multiplication. And all you're doing is multiplying by 5 on this one. So in looking at that one, I want you to look at this one. It says find 5r, and I want you just to tell me what you think you would do. So tell me what you think the first number would be. -16. Good. What do you think the second number will be?
40.
What do you think the third number will be?
30.
Good. What do you think the next number will be?
Negative.
-80, yes. What do you think the next number? 20. And then?
95.
95. Good. That's all you do. When it says take 5 times r, you're going to take each of these times 5. And that's it. It's kind of like the problem before when I changed all of the signs. I really multiplied by a -1. That's all I did. So that's all you do. So now find -3r. Okay? So, does somebody want to find -3r for me? And then write the answer. Takers?
It's
The
fun.
slate? It's not that bad, is it?
No.
Here.
I'll try it.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, so let's see what negative 3r is. There you go, good job. Yep, it's just like you're writing on. Good.
Whoa.
Nice job, did everybody get that? Any questions? Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this one. Now, if you look at this problem, look at what it's done. It's taken the scalar multiplication now and it's went ahead and made it into an addition problem. So all we're going to do here is we're going to multiply A by negative 4. We're going to multiply B by, and then add them together. Now, before I go to all that work, what I need to do is check the dimensions. Because if the dimensions don't match, then you can't do the problem. And so instead of doing the multiplication, I'm going to save myself some time. So do the dimensions match?
Yeah.
What, in fact, is the dimensions of each of them?
2 by 3.
A what?
3 by 2.
A 3 by 2. It's 3 rows by 2 columns. So negative 4a, what I'm going to do first is multiply that by negative 4. So I should get 20, negative 12 in row 1. I should get negative 24 and 32. And then what would the row 3 look like?
Negative 8 and negative 36.
Good. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and add that to 3b. So what will 3b be?
36.
Yep, 36. What else?
15.
Yep,
15.
Yep.
Negative 12.
yep,
12.
yep.
Negative 21.
And so then now all I need to do is add those together. So what do I get when I add those together?
56.
56,
3.
negative 9. What's the next one?
20.
Yep,
4.
Yep. and negative 57. There you go. And that's it. Okay. Questions? Think you can handle that today?
Yeah.
All right, do you think we need to look, oops, I guess I don't have another one in there. There we go. So here you go, pages 175, 176, 13 through 28 all. You have the rest of the time to work and chances are you could get done.